Западен Балкан, а со тој Македонија неколку години се мета на руската мека моќ. Што прави Русија да ја запре евроатлантската интеграција на регионот?
Well, I think the role of Russia has been that it's been using what it can to slow down Euro-Atlantic integration of the region, to slow down reforms, but it's been mostly because governments have been letting it do it. So the governments in the region have been sometimes using Russian influence either as an excuse or as in a certain way, a way to kind of also lower expectations. Russia is not heavily invested in the region, but it's mostly using the weakness of the European Union and NATO. So the main problem is that EU and NATO have become quite weak in the region in terms of engagement, and it's there where Russia has filled the gap to some degree.
Рускиот председател Владимир Путин ќе се кандидира за нов мандат. Што да очекуваме? Нова политика или продолжување на старата?
If you stay in power for 20 years, you don't expect somebody to change. So I think the only direct development of Putin's government in Russia has been it's become more authoritarian over time. The longer he's in power, the less he can rely on democratic principles, the more he has to be authoritarian. So I would worry more about him the longer he stays in power, that he might become more authoritarian and more antagonistic towards the West because he needs this tension to stay in power. And that, of course, is negative for the Balkans because that will mean an increase in tensions, most likely. But again, I don't think Russia has a strategy for the Balkans. What it has is trying to disrupt as much Euro-Atlantic integration wherever it can, and that Balkans is the easiest area to do it. And that's why I see Russia continuing to play its role. I don't expect any dramatic changes. I would rather see business as usual, so to speak.
ЕУ и НАТО дадоа јасен сигнал за македонскиот напредок. Можеме ли да говориме за попрецизна временска рамка за прием на Македонија во ЕУ и НАТО?
I mean, there are two tracks. One track is domestic reforms. So the current government has made a lot of promises and has sent signs that it wants to re-energize the reform process. And that's very positive, but I think the EU wants to see results for that, kind of specific, concrete results. And then the other line is, of course, the international relations, in particular, resolving the name issue. Because, of course, as long as this is open, the EU might have a more positive view of the government in Macedonia. But again, if at the end of the day Greece is vetoing any progress, then NATO membership and EU accession talks are not likely to happen. So there has to be the domestic kind of commitment to translate the promises into action, and then also progress with the name issue. And those two tracks, if they develop, then of course I think Macedonia could catch up easily with the current frontrunners of Montenegro and Serbia. I think nobody in the EU would stop Macedonia from moving ahead very quickly if those two conditions are progress is made.